everyone, it's Catherine here from Inky Finger Cat. I'm going to do a tag today. I've pre-prepared. I sort of know what I'm doing. I say sort of because you know full well that nothing ever quite goes how I expect it to. So every month I join in with UK Stampers Forum, which is over on Facebook, and the lovely Sid organises all of our swaps. So I usually join in definitely with the tags. Love joining in with the tags. You get such amazing things back, and I'm now looking and going, can I find any of them? No, none of them is a hand. That's just annoying, but never mind. So yeah, you get the most amazing artwork back in response. So yeah, I definitely join in with the tags. Sometimes I join in with the inchies, sometimes I join in with the postcard swap, the artist trading coins, and then the artist trading cards. That's the one that I do the least often because there's a theme set for that one every month, whereas there's not a theme for the others. They're all just anything goes as long as you use Stampin. So I thought I have got a repurposed Graze box here. Yeah, I went a bit mad. So the other day I did all of my scraps. So what happens is when I've got a scrap of paper that's definitely big enough to be able to fit a little die on it, I keep it in a pouch like this, and the pouch was overflowing. I spent an hour and a half die cutting, and that's the result. Not all of them, but most of them. So like that piece, for example, was something from before Christmas, but all the flowers and the leaves that you can see, pretty much, yeah, that was what I spent an hour and a half doing. But it means I've got loads of bits and pieces there that I can use on projects. So these dies are from the Pierced Blooms dies, which is in the Stampin' Up! Spring Summer catalogue for this year, 2021. There's a few different colours of green cardstock there, some craft and some white, and then some red. I'm pretty sure it's real red that is. And I just grabbed those because I thought they'd look really nice against the craft background, but obviously that's not Stampin', so in order for it to be Stampin', I'm going to do something to the background just to slightly distress it, make it a little bit different, and then I'll choose a sentiment to go on the top. That bit I've not done yet, not planned that far ahead. But I absolutely adore this stamp, which looks like absolutely the weirdest stamp in the world, but it is this, and it came from a company called Gummierpam, which I think is Danish, but I could be wrong, so apologies if I've got the provenance of it wrong. Bought this stamp years ago, love it. It's just such a good one for adding to sort of mixed media projects and making it just a little bit grungy. I just love the font of the sort of like, it's like a typewriter font, you see there, and the fact that it doesn't say anything specific, so it goes with everything. So all I'm going to do is just ink up parts of the stamp. I'm not being particularly careful about how I do it, and I am just going to start laying down the stamp. As you can see, it's already transformed that tag into something quite cool. And again down here, the only thing with it is trying to get it so it's vaguely straight helps, and that's it. That's going to be my little bit of background stamping. I think in order to really satisfy the sentiment that I put on will be stamped as well, just so that they know I haven't just cheated and just created a tiny background. I'm actually wondering about whether, yeah, I want to do a bit of edging to my tag. I'm going to start with a bit of the black soot and just very lightly blend it onto the edges. Okay, so that's that done. Give my surface a little wipe up. Okay, now it's time to start arranging my flowers. So I'm imagining a flower there and a flower here. That's my thought. and then maybe having some kind of sentiment going across, but we'll see what happens. So I think we'll go with, I think actually no, let's lay it out first and have a think about how it's going to look. So as much as I had a bit of pre-thought, as in I grabbed these things because I wanted to use them, didn't think about how they were going to look together and how they were going to be clustered. Just sort of went for it. Quite like that. Maybe going over that direction. So I did think about, I wanted the craft centres for the flowers, and then I want these to sort of dot around and just add that bit of brightness. So now I've done that, I'm thinking I want a bit more brightness, and I'm thinking splatters. I really like these sort of quite basic and graphic shapes of the flowers contrasted with quite a grungy background. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of white gesso. Now I do have a revoltingly filthy pot of water for my paintbrushes, and I know it's terrible practice this to, I'm just going to put these well over to the side just so I don't get splats on them. It's not good practice to leave your paintbrushes in the water, and that's far more paint than I need. Oh. Oh, I have just managed to spray my work phone. It's a good job I never took the cover off it. That's better. I think that, you know what, that's enough. That's what I'm saying. Far more paint than I needed. And I did indeed get blobs of it everywhere. As you can see, my desk is already completely splattered anyway, but I do like to try and keep on top of the cleaning up element of this. Okay, so I just need to let that dry. So whilst that's drying, let me have a little bit of a think about what kind of sentiment I want. Let me have a look at what I've got in my stash. Is there anything that I think would work? I'm not sure I've got anything that I fancy using. Unless I do love sending a smile your way. May your day be filled with heartfelt happiness. Okay, I think we'll have a go at stamping those whilst we wait for the tag to dry, and see if I can perhaps then do them as cut parts. So I'm thinking white as the colour for Stampin' on. So you just had a little sneak. Actually, I'm just going to show you. So what I do, you know, all of the scraps, so any of the bigger scraps I just put straight into here. So you can see there are actually some A4 sheets in there as well, but it's only because I couldn't be bothered to put them away after I got them out for a project. But this is got all of the bits and pieces of cardstock that are quite large that I can use for card fronts, etc. And then any of the tinier pieces are the pieces that I put in my pouch for die cutting. Usually there's also white in there, which I would normally do for this sort of stamping of sentiments, but I know I cleared most of it out, so I am not worried about whether it's straight or not. Just going to grab myself, and I am going to use VersaFine for this because I prefer stamping sentiments in VersaFine, because indeed it does nice fine clear stamping. Now I am going to do, don't think it's going to fit, so I'm just going to take that one off. I'm just going to do the other one again, and I think one more time just in case, because when cutting apart sometimes you want the spacing to be slightly better, slightly bigger, and you end up with uneven sort of strips, which can look nice, and that might be what I end up with anyway. But I'm thinking this way I could cut them apart, and it doesn't matter if I've left it a bit short on one side, because I can always cut it from the other sentiment. So, still waiting for the gesso spots to dry. There's still a couple of them that are wet. So I'm going to just pop things away and actually be a bit tidy whilst I wait. That's an unusual thing, isn't it? Catherine being tidy in her crafting. It's very unusual for me to do that. Okay. Do you keep your craft space tidy whilst you're actually stamping and doing your projects? Or do you just grab everything? So I normally just grab everything and end up with a big pile of stuff. But I'm quite happy this time I haven't. So let me grab those flowers again. Okay. How are we doing on this? Nope, still see some wet bits, so I'm not going to touch those. This is also a little bit possibly wet in places, so just bear with me. I'll put you into mute whilst I heat too. Yeah, VersaFine is a pigment ink, so it does tend to take a little bit longer to dry, especially on something that's like a slightly coated card. And this is Stampin' Up's Whisper White, which unfortunately is no longer available, but I've still got quite a few bits and pieces of it. And it is a slightly, it's a very smooth cardstock, and it's slightly coated, so hence it's good for, it is good for stamping and colouring, but it does mean that the VersaFine can take a little bit longer to dry. I'm using my longer scissors for this because I want the long cuts, but then I'm going to switch to my smaller scissors for snipping apart. So this is what I mean. So in order to get a nice border on the edge of that, this has cut a little bit too close. This is why it's a good idea to cut a couple of, to stamp a couple of versions. So for this one, I'm going to go like so and just give it a better border. As it turns out, it's one piece, but there you go. Right, I'm going to move to my snips because I want to now snip these apart a little bit. Sending a little smile your way. I think that sending just needs a little bit off the front of the S. I also think it's a little bit wonky there. A little bit thick there for that. There we go. Sending a little smile your way. With happiness. With heartfelt happiness. Now, do we like that as a sentiment or not? Or do we want to put the may your day be filled? We might cut this into two pieces, not sure. But for the moment, I think we'll stick it like that. Yeah, that would work. Sending a little smile your way with may your day be filled with heartfelt happiness. Might get short on that. We'll see what happens. Okay. Feeling like that tag's probably dry enough for us to go on to the next stage. Let's see. It's definitely got more of a raised dot, so carefully blotting it. No, I think we're fine. I think we're fine to carry on. Right. I think we were over here, weren't we? So I'm just going to use little dots of my wet glue to adhere these down. The good news about this high tack glue is it does dry clear, so we should be good for if any seeps through, which is bound to happen, especially with the little pierced dots in the flower. I don't know how well you can see that, but there's pierced dots in each flower, which provides a lovely texture. But it does mean that if you put too much glue underneath them, can you see how the white has slightly come through? But when it dries, that's absolutely fine. We'll stick that there and a little bit on this one also. That's nice, like those. Because I've only put the glue in the centre of that flower, the flower leaves, flower petals are just slightly curving up. Slightly curved this tag just because I've used the mediums on it. Okay, let's go with this one. And this one we're going to slot just underneath here. Yeah, quite like that. That'll do. Right, what were we doing over here? We're going to put these leaves. Oh. That's the work phone. Probably telling me I'm missing a meeting, which I'm not, because oh, I had oh no, there's emails. Perhaps I ought not to be reading this when I'm off for the day. But anyway, yeah, the work phone I always have sound on. I never have sound on my own phone, but the work one, I get a little bit paranoid because the work phone through to the computer doesn't always work well, so I get paranoid I'll miss something important whilst I'm working from home. So if I turn the volume off now, I'll forget to put it back on again, so I might as well just live with the fact that occasionally it hoots at me. Normally I'm quite good at ignoring it, but there's quite a lot going on at work at the moment, so I feel bad enough that I took the day off. Oops. I've probably stuck this further over than I'd originally intended to, but it'll be fine. I think we'll go over here. I love these pops of white. I think it works really well. Very effective. And obviously we're going to stick our white backed sentiments on too. Right, I think we will go with, let's lay it out first and make sure that we know what we're doing. Let's go up here with this. Yeah, I like that. What do you think? Yeah, I like that. So it's good to lay it out first to get your idea, and then I still try to stick from the middle point to be able to try and balance it as it goes out. Just in case I sneeze and they all disappear off the page, at least it gives me an idea that it's all going to fit how I want it to. I put far too much glue on these sentiments usually, and with Heartfelt. I've probably gone too low with that one, but never mind, it'll do. Happiness. I think that just overlapping that leaf will be good. So let's go with, no, I like that there. Then is it too low? Sending little smile your way. What do we want it further down here? Sometimes it's these little fiddly things that take the time, aren't they? Like that. Okay. Let's go for it. Before you change your mind. So there's something for saying let something sit and have a think about it. There's also something for going just plough on, get it stuck down. Do you know what? I think there's definitely room for both approaches when it comes to crafting. And sometimes the procrastinating, let it sit and have a think about it, is just not the right approach to take. But sometimes it is. Right. Again, in keeping with the fact that I like this really clean kind of die cut, along with the grungier background, I'm going to go in and do some doodling. Just literally the edges. I just think that it starts to frame it, but it also adds to that sort of grungy kind of half-made, half, that's not the word I'm looking for, homemade kind of look. I think that, and I like adding those sort of like little squiggles and not keeping it so it's really straight. Oh no, I'm really happy with that. I'm gonna just make sure that they're all stuck down, and then I'm considering outlining them. Also conscious that my fingers are a bit mucky. But inky fingered cat's got inky fingers. There's a surprise. So I'm going to give my fingers a good rub. Try and get rid of the grime off them. So I think I've slightly grimed up those white sentiments. I'm just considering going round them with the pen. Yep, I'm going for it. Don't think too much, Catherine. Yes, I'm happy with that. They feel like they're part of the artwork now, rather than just plonked. So I quite often think of Stampin' Up as being really clean and, I mean, not always clean and simple in the true sense of the fact that you have white space all the time and all the rest of it, but I do find a lot of their images are quite clean cut and don't always lend themselves to a bit of mixed media, which is my passion. I really enjoy doing mixed media. It just really, I really enjoy it. But sometimes you just have to think a bit different. So even though these particular images were indeed quite clean cut and quite fresh looking, I suppose, they've really lent themselves to this quite grungy background because of the colours that I've chosen. Although the red is obviously quite bright and the white is quite a bright colour, they're sort of more of an interesting mix and contrast. So don't think that you just have to use them for clean and simple projects. I don't think that they necessarily always are clean and simple projects that you can do. It's just about thinking differently. I'm really happy with that. I'm gonna just see if I can find a ribbon. Ooh. See, I say that, but my ribbon basket is in such a mess. Oh goodness, that's the wrong red. Nope. Maybe we go with a bit of lace. I think that's quite pretty. And a bit of maybe some string to tie it. But yeah, so it's always worth thinking outside the box and going for something a bit different with your stamps and dies. And obviously this isn't just a Stampin' Up project. I've used the grungy pan. I'm going to say it's said like that, but I don't know whether it is or not. For that background stamp, but you know, mix and match your supplies, see what you've got to make something that's a bit different. I'm super happy with that. I love that mix of the grunge and the brightness of the sentiment and the little pops of white, along with those really, I mean, I love those dies, they are just adorable. I have to admit, I'm not as keen on the stamps that go in with them. The in-bloom stamps don't do it for me quite in the same way as I thought they would, but I do love the dies. And clearly it was made out of scraps and in virtually no time at all. It's taken me 27 minutes, including me waffling. It'd take me less time if I'd have done less waffling. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please do give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more. I do all sorts of stuff. I do clean and simple, and I also do completely messy, and I'm completely obsessed with journaling at the moment. That's my current go-to thing for chilling out. Please do drop me a comment below. Do you like to use your stamps and dies and things in a different way from where you think that the inspiration came from when they were designing them? And let me know what you thought. Till next time, bye.